Welcome to 1960. That's Westgate. I'm still on top of the front of the Granada, right on the roof, and a busy Saturday with the small market, the little market as it was called in them days, and just a general view of the activities on a busy Saturday afternoon. John Price, the assistant manager that came to Mansfield, he knew that I'd got a movie camera, and he thought it'd be a good idea if we did a feature on him and a story of him coming from London to be an assistant manager at the Granada in Mansfield. He said, I'll buy the Kodak film and just take me coming into Mansfield. It certainly wasn't our idea. I'm almost sure it was our idea to do it. So we set it up, and I think we filmed it over a couple of weeks. I think it took us about 2 weeks to do it. Not every day, of course, because we've got to pick a time when we're all available to do it. I think this was a Saturday afternoon. This is when John first arrived in Mansfield by train, and he's now walking down Station Hill. That bit's still there. Of course, bringing it up to date, there's a modern walkway now down into the bus station, but in 1960 there were no such luxuries. He didn't get off that train, he'd already arrived. I do believe he got an old car belonging to his father, and he come up in that car, so he drove up actually. And of course, while we were doing this, it's capturing some of the old buses that was running around then. He'd be walking down towards Queen Street, just under the arches there. I think where he is now, he's just going under the railway arches. Very top of Queen Street there. As it was took, that's how we shot it, because editing would be a bit of a pain, just to try and edit it in the camera as we shot it. That building on the right is the old market hall where the indoor market was. That's a court building still there on the left. The market hall has gone. The market hall is a car park now. Cut down the alley so he came down into the marketplace. I'm stood just at the side of the town hall, looking towards Westgate on the left. That roundabout was there way in the 50s and 60s, very popular that was with children. It was a very big market. There used to be a guy from Stoke-on-Trent selling crockery, cups, saucers, teapots, a jewellery stall, fruit and veg, all selling mirrors and or fancy goods. I think on Mansfield Market in those days you could just buy about everything. That's the front of the town hall, with the entrance to the loos just on the gents' loos, and ladies on the other side. And here's John then walking. He's on Westgate there now, opposite Woolworths, just about to get into the Granada. I think the buildings there on the left are still there. Then he's walking now up towards the bus stop opposite the Granada, and is about to be met by the general manager, Mr. Fred Dawson, and just to welcome him to the cinema. Well, I said, make it look as if you're making him look really welcome on that particular day. They did what we told them to do, yeah. I think they were quite enjoying the event. They're on the roof now, that's right, yes. That's Fred Dawson. And there's John Price. They're obviously looking at something in the distance. And that's Mrs. Hunt, the restaurant manageress. That's Kath Cartwright, who worked for many years for the company in various roles. She worked at the Century and then at the Granada. It's the roof of the foyer and restaurant, which was also the way to get up to the projection room. So where they are now, just a flat roof with windows that were constructed in it to let the light through, and it was a good place really to do some outdoor filming. That's myself, Pat Kirk on the left, and that's Betty Pearson on the right. I really don't know what they're looking at there. Betty worked in the shop. That was called Miss Candy. Opposite the pay box it was there, and you could also enter it from the street In fact, the street shop was a little cafe at one time, have a snack cafe, and then in later years they turned it into a sweet shop and made it part of the kiosk inside on the foyer opposite the pay box. And Pat worked on the ice cream trays. They both enjoyed the job very much. It was a good time to work in the cinema. That's Marks and Spencer's, just a bit on the right there, and Woolworths is behind Pat. They sat on that low wall that's right on the top of the frontage. That's my wife to be. She should be called Mrs. Appleby. Yeah, there she is. I'm squeezing her to death with the looks of that. When John did arrive at the Granada in 1960, the frontage was being redesigned. I think they're looking at the alterations that were being done there. The two large pillars at the front were being removed. I mean, the cinema opened in 1930 and Cecil and Sidney Bernstein wanted a more modern looking frontage on the building, and it certainly got that when the pillars were taken down and the restaurant windows were made bigger. Oh, that's right, the lit up sign, yes. You didn't notice it so much in the daytime. At night time it was very good, yeah, very, very impressive. During John Price's stay at the Granada, he had accommodation at Rainworth. The lady there was an usherette and her husband was a miner at Blidworth Colliery. I cannot remember their names at all. So he was sort of lodging there, and the husband invited us to film John looking round the colliery. John from Balham in South London knew very little about mining, and as such was impressed by the visit to the colliery. They offered to put him up there while I was staying at the Granada. I think we were there 2 years or more, and they quite enjoyed it there. And then he moved on to another Granada theatre, as did the managers. The managers used to go around frequently. Fred Dawson left there and moved to Wales. That's the way the company operated. And then when I started at the Granada, there were a different manager there, Mr. Bush. Well, he left and Fred Dawson came, and then Fred was there a while, and he was still there when I left, but he moved on to another cinema. I think it was how the management did it. And each cinema area had got their own house. The one in Mansfield on Beach Street Avenue. So they'd got a place to go to. I don't know why they kept swapping them round. That's one of the Granada posters, that's right. Once More with Feel, I remember that film, and that's the Century posters, that's right. They were dotted about Mansfield and district, on different, outside different shops and places, just to a bit of extra advertising other than the Chad. That's the front of the Century on Midworth Street, which closed in 1961. After it closed, it did a couple of years at Bingo. There is Alf Bailey, the chief, Dave Cocker in the background, and the staff then. I think John Price looks to be at the back there. Alf Bailey in the middle with the glasses on. He was the chief projectionist at the Granada, and prior to him retiring, which was just not long after I shot this film, they sent him over to the Century so he could sort of have a quieter retirement, because we'd just had Projectionist installed at the Granada and was also doing the stage shows, which they thought maybe it was a bit too much for Alf, and to give him a quieter time just prior to him retiring, he went to the Century. So that's a good picture there of Alf Bailey that was really spent most of his time at the Granada. I think most people can remember the first job, probably not in a good light, but I can remember that first job as something I really wanted to do, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. So I mastered it so I could do everything up there in that projection room. no problems whatsoever. So I really enjoyed the experience, really. It comes as a very special thing, really, that I managed to capture it on 8mm film at the time. There's Ken and me there, so I don't quite know who's filming this. I think we're on the far end of the roof there. That was a fan duct, and what we got in there was a lighting bar that we used to wind down when we had the stage shows. But if it were just a stage show that was on for about 20 minutes, Shane Fenton, which we used to have on a Sunday evening, there were no need for that lighting bar there because we've got the spotlight, so we made full use of the spotlight, so we had no need to wind that down. I remember people could smoke in there in them days, so the smoke had got to be sucked out, and there were a couple of them big fans up there sucking the smoke out the auditorium. And that's Ken looking over towards the co-op. That's projector number 1 there, that's right. And that's Ken sorting that out there. In 1960 I bought my first movie camera and a projector to go with it, and what you see now is the footage that I used it for. And looking at it, you didn't really think at the time, but as time goes on, everything's history, isn't it? And it gets more interesting the longer it lies around, like people are viewing it now. So looking back on footage, I'm quite pleased I did what I did. I wished obviously I'd have done more, but I treasured what I did.
You captured a moment in time, haven't you?
That's right, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. What, looking at the film itself, how does it make you feel looking back?
Pleased I did it, and I hope people can enjoy it and feel the same about it as I do.